Hey everyone, today on Warikoo we will speak about how to write cold emails or send cold messages to people with the intention of getting a response from them. It's a big bad world. Social media has opened up everything. You can now have access to anyone you want. You can write into celebrities, you can write into CEOs, you can write into founders, you can write into recruiters. And that has also made the art of cold email or cold messaging that much more important. I have cold emailed so many people that it is unbelievable. I live by the philosophy that if you don't ask, the answer is always no. And I execute on that philosophy literally every single day. I'm asking something or the other from individuals who are also honestly outside of my reach. I think I have the dubious distinction of having written to almost every tech founder that you can think of in this country and globally, because there's just so much that I would want to learn from them, and there's so much that I have to ask from them that I just don't hesitate to write into them. And to be honest, I've got responses from quite a few of them, but it's not that everyone's responded. But if I look at what got people to respond, I've seen a pattern. When I write emails to someone that I don't know, someone I'm writing in without any connection, any network whatsoever, why do they respond is almost always because of something that I've done in that cold email. And I just want to share that with you in the hope that it helps you as well, in the hope that it gives you a framework to assess how you could be writing your cold emails and cold messages from now on. Number one, let's start with the subject line. The subject line is very important because it determines whether the email or the message will be opened in the first place or not. So you possibly can't be writing a subject line which is like, hey, looking for a job, want to pick your brains, can I have some time of yours, love your feedback. That's what everyone will write. The key is to think about what is it that I can write which just stands out. Stands out in a way that could even be, if you're willing to take the risk, could even be on the edge of something you don't want to do. Something which is very tricky, risky, but you're willing to take the risk, and that works as well. But subject line definitely has to be something that generates curiosity and gets them to open the email or the message in the first place. A good example of that is an email that I wrote to a startup founder in the Valley that is a really big guy. I have no connections whatsoever to him. And the subject line that I chose was, you have no idea how I got to know about you. That's it. That was the subject line. You have no idea how I got to know about you. Now, I had a story to share of how I got to know of him. And this was way back when he was a nobody, when he was just starting up and so on and so forth. But I thought that this would be a subject line that will capture his curiosity, because it's not something that he most likely gets to receive or gets to see every day. That's just one example. I remember someone wrote into me with a subject line saying, hey Warikoo, bracket, that is such a cool surname. As simple as that. It doesn't have to be something which is earth-shattering, but I noticed it because of the simple reason that this just stands out. If I scan through 200 emails of mine, almost every email has, hey, problem, solution, something, something. This just stood out. It was someone who was willing to cut through the chase, was willing to be informal, and that worked, got me to open. Now, once the message has been opened, that's where the meat and the bulk of the conversation lies. And there are three things that I care about and I have seen work. Number one, keep the language very, very simple. A good heuristic, a good way to determine whether you're doing that or not is imagine someone who's in the 5th standard to be reading that email. And ask yourself this question, will they understand what this email is all about? So avoid using heavy words. It doesn't matter who you're sending it to. Don't use your words to impress someone. Don't use the power of your language to impress someone. Use the power of your content, the weight of the message to impress someone. So people make a lot of mistake in writing these really big words and using all this nonchalant and so on and so forth. But you have to just keep it very simple. And I don't know where I read it, but there is research-backed, scientifically proven methodology that says if you keep your emails to a level where a fifth-class student can understand that, you're on good ground. That's number one. Number two, the first part of that email itself has to instantly establish the purpose of the email with hopefully the ask or the question attached to it. That is an absolute must. And here's why. It's quite likely that you are sending this email to someone who's busy, someone who's getting a lot of emails, someone who does not have as much time as perhaps you or anyone else, does not go or have the patience to go through lines and lines and lines of email and so on. So it's very important that you establish the reason of why you send this email in the first place. An approach that I follow is the following. I would say, hey Ankur, I'm writing this email to establish the context and then say, here is what I want from you. And that's it. That's almost always my start to an email if I do not know the individual or if it's a very clear request that I want to ask from the individual. And right after that, I will start with what I would call the headline. And I've gotten so used to it that now I write emails with the word headline in it. So I would say, hey Ankur, this is an email to objective. Here is what I want from you. What is it that I want? And then the next line will be headline. And then I will give a one-piece headline. It's almost like writing a press article. It's almost like writing a newspaper article. You start with a headline and then you give the content. And here's why. The headline has to catch the attention. The headline has to make sense. The headline has to be relevant. The headline has to form that connect. And if that does happen, then it's just brilliant. It's just wonderful. It's just very, very straightforward. I'll give you an example. There's so many emails that I get on a daily basis, which are all about, hey Ankur, I follow your videos on LinkedIn or YouTube, whatever that the thing is. You're so great. You're such a great motivational speaker. You're such a great entrepreneur. You're da-da-da-da-da. And there are like 2 paragraphs praising me. And it's obvious why people do that. It's because someone told them that if you get people very happy and very cheerful about themselves, then they're more likely to listen to you. While that's true, it doesn't happen in written communication because time is lost. Reading is an effort. Listening is not as much. Listening, you have the body language in front of you, you have people, you have their vibrations and all that. Here, it's just boring text. And if it's boring text, even if it's all about someone praising you, at least to me, it doesn't make any difference. It in fact bores me. I just switch off because it's one of those emails and I don't want to go through it. This person is trying to convince me and to please me, but the fact is that I don't need his or her judgment or view to make me happy about myself. I am at peace with myself. But there are a few emails which are like, hey Ankur, this email is written with the objective of trying to see if there is an internship available at nearby or not. And I would love you to go through my profile and let me know what you think. And when that comes in, I know what I have to do. I know whether I have to forward that email to someone. I know whether I have to reply to that email. I know that I have to reply with a no, doesn't work, or I can't help you at that point of time email. I know that I have to archive it. I know what the action is that needs to happen. And here's the kicker. You want a reply. You don't necessarily want the yes coming in. You want a reply coming in. Because a reply gives you the freedom to know that you either have to dig deeper or you have to let go. And both of these are good points to be. Because when you're sending out cold emails, when you're sending out cold messages, it is critical for you to get closure on them so that you know how much more do you have to spend and invest. That's how sales also works. In India, most salespeople are just so comfortable with the fact that they're meeting the client for the 8th time, the 15th time, the 20th time. It's not a no, it's not a no. I don't think that's the right way to run sales. I think most salespeople are super, super efficient at getting a yes and getting a no as fast as possible. That's what they love, because if they get a no, they know, you know what? My energy is not going to go there. My energy is not going to be wasted on that account anymore. I can come back to it after 6 months and whatnot, but now it's not going to happen. I got to move my energy somewhere else. Like if I'm fighting this battle, it's a losing battle. If I were to pick that battle that has a chance of winning, I might just win that. That's what effective individuals, effective emailing individuals also do. They would much rather get, sorry, can't help you, than be like, oh, the hope in hell is that Ankur may read that email once and all I have to do is just keep following up. Doesn't work. So the second thing is start the email and very quickly establish what the objective is and what the ask is. That's very critical. Very critical. And number 3, perhaps the most important, also the hardest, is if you're just going to come across as just one of the dozens, thousands, and hundreds of individuals who have the same request and the same ask, and you ask it in the same manner, of course it's not going to work. Because then you're relying on something very powerfully in your profile or in the ask that works for you, and very rarely does that happen. Simple as an example, you're looking for a job or you're looking for an internship. You write into me and you're like, hey, this email is to check whether there are internship opportunities available at nearby, and I would love you to go through this profile and let me know if there is any. Now, if after that, the rest of the email is all about, here is what I've done, here's what I'm good at, here is what I feel I would want from the internship, here is what I'm looking for, so on and so forth, you lost me. You lost me because I don't care about what you bring to the table as long as you don't apply it to my context. I don't care that you're the best data scientist that there is if you don't apply it to my context. I don't care if you're the best sales guy in the world if you don't apply it to my context. The context is very necessary, and the context is only available after deep research. If you dig in and find out what does Nearby do, what does Ankur Warikoo do, what kind of a hiring process do they have, all of which is honestly available online, and that's just Nearby. It may not be for others, which is where you have to dig deep into people who are working there. And you'll have to find someone and find out what is it that they do, how do they do it, what are the kind of values that they stand for, what's the kind of process that they follow. And then match yourself with that context. Match yourself with that context. That's when you strike familiarity. That's when you strike a conversation. That's when you form a connect. That is when I am listening to you. Because now suddenly you're doing 2 things. You're telling me that you have done the hard work of finding out who I am and what is it that you have to offer and matched it. And number 2, I am nodding my head at whatever you're saying because it is part of my context. It's what I live and breathe every day. I cannot disagree with that. So if someone says, hey, what I love about Nearby is that it brings all local businesses together. It lists all restaurants, spas, and salons and whatnot on an online platform. I am such an offline retail individual where, yes, I do a large part of my shopping online, but I still love going out in malls. I still love going out and eating out. I still love going out and look forward to a nice spa and whatnot. And I feel that that is never going to end in this country. I feel that people will always want to venture out. I feel that there is just so much offline retail that is going to happen and continue to happen in this world that I think you can become a great business, if not today already. And I would love to be a part of this journey. Now, when you say it like that, I am just nodding. I'm like, yep, that's what we think. That's what we say. That's what we do. And I love the fact that here are things that you bring to the table that we can benefit from. You've understood where we're coming from, and now you know what you want. That is just brilliant. I'll give you a simple example of how it worked. 3 days back, I get an email from someone that I have only interacted with once, and that was for a completely different purpose. And he's like, I noticed your website, ankurwarikoo.com, which is my personal website. And I noticed the fact that it had been last updated in 2008, which was 12 years back. And I think it's time for a refresh. Don't you think so? Here are 3 websites that I've worked on in the past, 1 month or 2 months, I don't remember. And I'd love to work with you on this new website. And can we make that happen? Brilliant. I love it. I love the fact that someone went through the effort, the pain of finding out, shared some examples of how they're good, asked me a very pointed, specific question, and I just felt myself nodding. And guess what? I am working with that individual to now revamp my website. And if everything goes right, when this video comes out, you would witness the new website, which has not been changed in the last 12 years. And it's amazing how many web designers have written into me asking for projects, asking for work, asking to be hired, and I never, ever for once considered them as the ones that I could work with on my website. Not even once. And this one email just made it happen. Nothing else. I didn't check the credentials of that individual. I didn't ask for a resume, nothing. We're working. And we're exchanging notes and we're making it happen. And that's the power of putting in the work. You write an effective subject line. You write the email in a manner that a 5th class student can read it, comprehend it, and understand what it says. And then you're very specific about the ask right on. And then you put in the effort to explain the context and where you come from. That is the hard work. That is how you write cold emails. And now you can imagine, if your job is to write 20 and 30 of such emails every day, imagine the amount of work that goes in. So now it explains why most people are lazy about it, because it just takes a lot of effort. It just takes a lot to write such an email for each and every individual. It takes a lot of energy. And that's why you know most people will never do it. And that's why you know that if you were to do it, you just instantly stand apart from the crowd. You just instantly make a dent. You just instantly know that this is going to work because you have done something that 99% people don't do. If you've got a cold email ever, or if you've written one that got a response, I would love you to share about that in the comment section below. But until next week, I will see you all with the next question for Warikoo. Stay safe. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel so that whenever we put up a new video, you're aware of it.